In the figure above, what is the value of x? Well, we have ourselves a quadrilateral. A quadrilateral means four sides, which means four angles, which means all of the angles add up to 360 degrees. So 45 plus x plus x plus x, 3x, is 360 degrees. Subtract 45. 3x equals 315 degrees. Divide everything by 3. X equals 105. Now, if you're looking at the picture, okay, that doesn't look like 105 to me, and that doesn't either, and really that doesn't either. And it kind of looks like this picture is not drawn to scale. And you're going to have to understand that not every picture is drawn to scale. They don't want you to look at this angle and make a prediction based off of looks. Okay? You never want to make a prediction based off of looks. That is sexist. And we don't do that here. The answer is D, 105, and don't be sexist either. A customer paid $53 for a jacket after a 6% sales tax was added. What is the price of the jacket before sales tax? Okay, so what I know is I have, let's let X be the original price of the jacket. Okay? If I paid, or if I had 6% sales tax added to that, that means not only was my jacket full cost, but I added an additional 6% and then had to pay $53 and no cents. So I'll just put 53. Okay. Now, this is 1x or 100% x. So adding 100% x, the full price, plus 6% sales tax is going to give me 106% of x. That's going to equal 53. 106% is 1.06. So 1.06 equals 53. Divide both sides by 1.06, and you get 53. Divided by 0.06, 1.06, which is 50. Kind of accidentally said the answer, but it wasn't the answer. My answer is 50. Now, if you're like, wow, did you do that without a calculator? Yes, I did. And this is what I did. I knew that since I had a jacket that I had to add a certain amount of money to, and it's 6%, that's a very conveniently pretty number. 53 is a very conveniently pretty number. So 6% of $100 is $6. So a $100 jacket would cost me $106. 53 is literally half of that, which means I paid literally half of $100, 50. But, you know, this is the other way of doing it. I'm assuming they would let you use a calculator for this one, but I was able to do it without a calculator because I'm friggin' smart. $50 for a jacket, which as far as I'm concerned is a steal. Also, as far as I'm concerned, it's a jacket, which is an article of clothing, so you shouldn't have to pay tax. So what are you doing, government? What are you doing? The answer is B. A software company is selling a new game in a standard edition and a collector's edition. The box for the standard edition has a volume of 20 cubic inches. Volume of 20 cubic inches. And the box for the collector's edition has a volume of 30 cubic inches. The company receives an order for 75 copies of the game, and the total volume of the order to be shipped is 1,870 cubic inches. All right. Which of the following systems of equations can be used to determine the number of standard edition games S and the collector's edition games C that were ordered? So whenever we're given total stuff, we are always going to create the equation, whatever letter plus whatever letter is going to be that total. So S plus C is 75. Now, looking over here, that's not an option. They have to go and make it more difficult for us. So let's give them what they want. What do they want? They want me to get 75 all by itself? No, not 75. Do they? I mean, it's neither one of these guys. So they want me to get C all by itself. So let's subtract S from both sides. That gives me C equals 75 minus an S. So either one of these is exactly just fine. So we have our first equation. Okay, our first equation is there, and that was the total equation. Let me write the other equation that I'm going to need up here. I also have information about the fact that 20 cubic inches for the standard addition, standard was S, so 20 cubic meters for this cubic inches for the standard addition. On top of that, 30 cubic inches for the collector's addition. And all of those cubic inches is going to add up to that thousands number, which is 1,870. So 20S plus 30C equals 1870, not 30S plus 20C, not U, not B, not C, not D, but A. So I don't like this one because they had to make this different. And I don't know why they would do that except to test you, to test your knowledge. But we figured it out. It took me a few seconds there, but we figured it out and it worked just fine. Based off the equation above, what is the value of AX plus B? All right, well, I have 9AX, I have 9B. Ooh, there's a 9 in common. Let's factor it out. By factoring out the 9, that gives me 9AX plus B, and then minus 6 equals 21. 9 plus 10. So now I'm going to pretend that parentheses is just like, I don't know, A. And I could just treat everything around it as if it's a regular two-step equation. I can add 6. When I add 6, that gives me 9, blah, 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 equals 27. Divide both sides by 9. Divide both sides by 9. And blah, 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 equals 3. What was that blah, 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 blah? Oh, it was AX plus B, which is what we're trying to solve for. So AX plus B is 3. I made a rhyme. And I do not say blah, blah, blah. I say blah, 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 blah. Hotel Transylvania. Adam Sandler. David Spade. That guy, the Paul Blart guy, I think he's in it too. Steve Buscemi. Andy Samberg. The answer is A. Lonnie spent 15% of her 8-hour workday in meetings. How many minutes of her workday did she spend in meetings? First things first, 15% times 8 hours. Okay, I'm going to convert 15% to 0.15. Remember, percent means out of 100. So 15% is 15 out of 100. So 0.15 times 8. I don't remember if this is the calculator section or no calculator section. So I'm going to go without a calculator. 1/10 of 8 is 0.8. So 0.15 times 8 is going to be 1.2. So 1.2 hours are dedicated to meetings. Let's go circle it. Oh, but wait a minute. They don't want hours. They even underlined minutes for us. Let's do the old-fashioned multiplication way and do 1.2 times 60. Old-fashioned vertical multiplication. 0 times 2, all these become 0, so ignore it. Carry the 0 right here, and we have 6 times 2, which is 12. Carry the 1. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. Don't forget about your decimal, which goes there because we only have one decimal. 72.0 means 72 minutes, which means that's my guy right there. 72 minutes and a day for meetings? No thanks. The scatter plot above shows the densities of 7 planetoids in grams per cubic centimeter with respect to their average distances from the sun in astronomical units AU. The line of best fit is also shown. So we got a negative correlation going on, pretty solid negative correlation. As you go further away from the sun, the density decreases. So an astronomer has discovered a new planetoid about 1.2 AU from the sun. 1.2 AU from the sun is here. Let's go up to our line of best fit, and we're living 4.5 in between. So this would be 4.75. So we're dealing with something a little bit smaller, in between 4.75 and 4.5, so 4.6-ish. Okay? According to the line of best fit, which of the following best approximates the density of the planetoid in grams per cubic centimeter? Well, how about the one that's 4.6-ish, which is 4.6 and 4.6-ish? All right, answer C. This scatter plot above shows the densities of 7 planetoids in grams per cubic centimeter with respect to their average distances from the sun in astronomical units, of course. The line of best fit is also shown. All right, so before looking at all of this, because I have a hunch that all of this information is pretty stupid and useless. What I have the density. It's going down as you go further away from the sun. According to the scatter plot, which of the following statements is true about the relationship between a planetoid's average distance from the sun and its density? Planetoids that are more distant from the sun tend to have lesser densities. I'm going to go with that. But since I'm paranoid, not to be confused with planetoid, it's for all 3 people who watch these videos. Planetoids that are more distant from the sun tend to have greater densities. Nope. The density of a planetoid is twice as The distance from a planetoid to the sun is unrelated to the density. That's also not true. So A right off the bat gives us what we want. Negative correlation means as one increases, the other decreases. That's what A is saying. Planetoids are fun. I don't even know what a planetoid is. It's a planet or a moon. Come on. Come on, science. The answer is A. In the equation ax plus 3 in parentheses squared equals 36, A is a constant. Yeah, we know that. Actually, A is a coefficient, but whatever. If x is negative 3, if x is negative 3 is one solution to the equation, what is the possible value of A? All right, so let's figure it out. Let's plug in negative. So I'm looking this is ax, but I'm going to swap things and make x negative 3. I'm going to put A right there, plus 3 squared equals 36. What I'm going to do is I could FOIL this out, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that at all. I'm going to kind of this looks very much like completing the square. So, and since I see a number over here that's 36, I know that square rooting both sides is going to be very good for me. Now, be very, very, very careful. When you square root both sides, attach the plus or minus symbol to the right side. So the right side is the square root of 36 with a positive or negative symbol attached, positive or negative 6. Now, on the left side, the square root of blah, blah, blah squared is blah, blah, blah. They cancel each other out. Now what I have is I have 2 separate equations. Negative 3a plus 3 equals positive 6, and negative 3a plus 3 equals negative 6. I'm going to get 2 answers. They only want one of them, so Let's find out which one we need. Subtract 3 from both sides. Negative 3a is going to be 3. Divide both sides by negative 3. And one of my possible solutions is 3 divided by negative 3, which is negative 1. So I have my answer. Now, let's just do the other one just for funsies. Subtract 3. Negative 3a is negative 6. Divide everything by negative 3. And your other possible solution is going to be regular 3. They don't give us that option, but it only asked for one possible value of a. So one possible value of a was negative 1, which means a is negative 3. X is negative 3, a is negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 3 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 squared is 36. Yeah, I guess I did it right. The answer is C. The table above gives the typical amounts of energy per gram expressed in both food calories and kilojoules. I've heard of run the joules, but kilojoules, never heard of that. Of the 3 macronutrients in food. All right, so protein is 4 in food calories, 16.7 kilojoules, whatever that means. 9, 37.7, and carbs are the same as protein. All right. So if X food calories is equivalent to K kilojoules, of the following, which best represent the relationship between X and K? Well, it appears to me that K is give or take like 4 point something times X, right? Because if this becomes 16, kilojoules is about 4 times 4, a little bit more than 4 times 4. So kilojoules is a little bit more than 4 times food calories. Food calories is X, kilojoules is K. I'm going to go with that, which matches up with that. Kind of a strange problem, but yeah, it's B. The function above models the height h in feet of an object above ground t seconds after being launched straight up in the air. What does the number 72 represent in the function? Whenever you are given a function, no matter what it's talking about, 72 with no attachments is the y-intercept. Now, the t here represents time. The h here represents height in feet. What this means is if t were 0 and t were 0, that means at the very beginning, our model, or not model, what are we dealing with? A rocket object is already 72 feet in the air. So probably what happened is someone was standing on top of a building shooting this thing off the air and it's going to land on the ground. So 72 feet is where my guy already is at the very beginning of everything. So the initial height in feet of the object? Yup. The maximum height in feet of the object? Nope, because if you shoot something in the air, it's not going to hit 72 if it's already 72. The initial speed? Nope, that has to do with calculus. We're not there yet. The maximum speed in feet per second? Nope. Speed would be, slope, and again, we're not there yet. So the answer is A. A cylindrical can containing pieces of fruit is filled to the top with syrup before being sealed. The base of the can has an area of 75 centimeters squared. So let's draw ourselves a can. Let's see if I can do that. So somehow they designed a perfect can where the base of the can has an area of 75. All right. The height of the can is 10. Okay. If 110 centimeters cubed of syrup is needed to fill the can to the top, which of the following is closest to the total volume of pieces of fruit in the can? All right, well, the way you find volume of a cylinder is you do, pi r squared h. Well, it doesn't give us all that information. So what we can do is any right solid like this guy is going to be the area of the base. So volume is also given to you as the area of the base times the height. So the volume of our can is going to be the area of the base times the height, 750. So the volume is 750 centimeters cubed. It requires 110 centimeters cubed of syrup to fill the can to the top. So if we were to remove that 110, the rest of this is going to be fruit. So 640 cubic centimeters of fruit are going to be in each can, give or take. My answer is C. C for can, C for cylinder, C for crazy, C for cantaloupe. That's a fruit. The answer is C. A survey was given to residents of all 50 states, even Alaska and Hawaii, if they had earned a bachelor's degree or higher. The results from 7 of these states are given in this table over here. So, state A gets 21%, 21.9% of the people have a bachelor's degree, yada, 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 yada. The median percent of residents who earned a bachelor's degree or higher in all 50 states was 26.95. Okay. What is the difference between the median percent of residents who earned a bachelor's degree or higher for these 7 states and the median for all 50 states? So they want us to find this median right here, that median right there, one minus the other. Median is found by organizing these in order and finding your middle. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to look at this chart and I'm going to find my biggest and smallest and cut them out and keep going until I hit the middle. So my smallest amount is that. My biggest amount is that. My smallest amount is that. My biggest amount is that. My smallest amount is that. My biggest amount is that. 27.9. So 27.9 or 27.90 is going to subtract 26.95. All right, borrow from 8, carry the 1. Borrow from 6, make that a 6. 10 minus 5 is 5. 18 minus 9 is 9. Bring down the point, 0, 0, 0. So 0.95%. Not a huge difference. Not a huge difference. But that's how you do it. The scatter plot above shows the numbers of grams of both total protein and total fat for 8 sandwiches on a restaurant's menu. The line of best fit for the data is also shown. There you go. So we've got ourselves protein. We have ourselves total fat. It looks like it's pretty strong that the more protein there is, the more fat there is. Or the more fat there is, the more protein there is. Either way, strong positive correlation. I like it. According to the line of best fit, which of the following is closest to the predicted increase in total fat in grams for every increase of 1 gram in total protein? So let's try to find the slope here. And this is just a prediction, but this right here looks like it's going to give me the slope. Okay, these 2 dots right here. I'm going to go with that. All right, increase of 10, because look at the sides, 20, 30. So my slope is 30 over 10, 20. So 30 over 20, my slope is 3 over 2 or 1.5. Okay, slope is 1.5. Now, what does the slope mean? Fat in grams per protein. And what they want us to do is they want us to find the predicted increase in total fat per 1 gram of total protein, which is exactly what I did. So it looks like it's 1.5 extra grams of fat per 1 gram of protein according to my slope. 1.5 it is. 1.5 it is. The formulas above are used in medicine to estimate the body's surface area, A, in square meters of infants and children whose weight W ranges between 3 and 30 kilograms and whose height H is measured in centimeters. Wow. If mozzarella's and Curran's formulas give the same estimate for A, which of the following expressions is equivalent to the square root of HW. All right, well, I see a square root of HW right there. So why don't I take that formula, rewrite it out down here, multiply both sides by 60. So the square root of HW is 60A. So 60A is equivalent to the square root of HW, which is none of these. So what else must I do? They give the same estimate for A. Which of the following expressions is equivalent for HW? So why don't I take A right here, the other equation, plug it in for A, and see what happens. I'm kind of grasping at straws here because I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head what they're asking me to do. So HW, the square root of it, is going to equal 60. I'll put it out here, times A. A is 4 plus W over 30. Okay, these guys cancel out and you become a 2 because 60 over 30 is 2. So the square root of HW is the same as 2, 4 plus W. So that led me to a correct answer, which is C. There may have been a different way for me to go about that, but I don't know. I kind of went with it. I saw the square root of HW, so I solved for HW. That didn't give me any of the answers that I want, so I figured let's plug in A, see what happens, and that seemed to work for me. And so there you have it. Mozzarella and current. The formulas above are used in medicine to estimate the body surface area, also known as A, in square meters of infants and children whose weight W ranges between 3 and 30 kilograms and whose height H is measured in centimeters. Ooh, neat. In other words, all this information, who cares? Based on current's formula, which is U, what is W in terms of A? So all of this is fluff, and all we have to do is solve this guy for W. So let's rewrite it out down here. A equals 4 plus W equals 30. I have to get W all by itself. It's not. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply both sides by 30. Like that. Okay, these cross out. 30 times A is 30A. So 30A is equal to 4 plus W. W is not alone. 4 is in the way. Let's subtract them out. Subtract them out. Okay, W is now alone. 30A and negative 4 don't combine, so I'll write out 30A minus 4. There's my formula in terms of W. Wonderful. The scatter plot above shows data for 10 charities along with a line of best fit. So we've got ourselves a pretty weak positive correlation. We've got income and percent of total expenses. So this is our income over here in millions. This is the percent of total expenses spent on programs. So, wow, it's nice to know that charities are only spending 70-some% on programs. Thank you, charities. What are we supposed to do with this? For the charity with the greatest percent of total expenses spent on programs, so the greatest percent, so that would be U. So for the charity with the greatest percent of total expenses spent on programs, which of the following is closest to the difference of the actual percent, which is that dot right there, and the percent predicted by the line of best fit? This is so poorly worded, it makes me sick. But what are you going to do? I mean, we've got, this is my guy, right? This is the point that I want. This is the point that has the greatest percent on total expenses spent on programs. I'm supposed to estimate how far it is from that to the line of best fit. Now, the line of best fit is awfully close to 85. And this goes up to what it looks like it's around 92. So I would say that this is a difference of 7%-ish. So I'm going to go with B. I mean, this is one of those problems you have to look at a bunch of times and read it carefully because that last sentence is a god-awful mess. But if you read it carefully, it still doesn't make sense. It's just, I know that that's what we do. Good luck for that one. The equation above models the total cost Y in dollars that a company charges a customer to rent a truck for 1 day and drive the truck X miles. The total cost consists of a flat fee plus a charge per mile driven. When the equation is graphed on the XY plane, what does the y-intercept of the graph represent in terms of the model? So the y-axis, right, is when you pretend that x is 0. Okay, so if x is 0, you don't exist, leaving us with a y-axis of 1999, or a y-intercept, rather, of 1999. Now, if you were to use this model and say, you know what, I'm going to go to this company and drive 0 miles, you are going to end up paying $19.99 just for renting. So $19.99 is the flat fee that you pay the moment that you get, what are we dealing with here, a truck. So the answer is A. Okay. The y-intercept always means what you do at the beginning, before you really do anything. And in this case, you're not driving, you're just paying $19.99 for the joy of renting a truck. And that makes your answer A. If A minus B is 12 and B over 2 is 10, what is the value of A plus B? All right, so B over 2 is 10, which means in order to find B, all we have to do is multiply both of these guys by 2. That cancels out. That becomes 20. B is 20. I have my B. A minus B is 12. So A minus 20 is 12 because B is 12. Add 20, and A is 32. A plus B, you ask, is 32 plus 20, which means A plus B is 52. The answer is D. If 51-cent coins, we call those pennies in America, were stacked on top of each other in a column, the column would be approximately 3 7/8 inches tall. Interesting. At this rate, which of the following is closest to the number of 1-cent coins it would take to make an 8-inch tall column? I hate this problem already. But it sounds like it wants an estimate because it says the word approximately, but I'm going to go with me trying to find the exact answer and just seeing what happens. So 50 pennies, I'll write out 50p is equal to 3 7/8. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn 3 7/8 into an improper fraction by multiplying 3 to 8, getting me 24, adding that to 7, getting me 31 over 8. If 51-cent coins were stacked up on top of each other in a column, the column would be approximately 3 7/8 inches tall. Interesting. By the way, we call those pennies here in America, but they're also called 1-cent coins. At this rate, which of the following is closest to the number of 1-cent coins it would take to make an 8-inch tall column? All right, well, basically, that guy is like a teensy bit shorter than 4 inches. So if 50 coins, all right, that's not how you spell coins. That's how you spell coins. If 50 coins is almost 4 inches, then wouldn't it make sense that 8 inches would be, 100 coins minus a few, but not a whole lot? I'm going to go with, yeah, that makes sense. And if you're like, that, I don't know, I'm nervous that it might be 75. It's not going to be, okay? 75 would be a whole lot closer to 6 than 8. So we're going with this guy. I like it. I'm not a big fan of estimating, but it seems to work in this case. The answer is B. Teresa ran on a treadmill for 35 minutes, and her time and speed are shown on the graph to the left, because I copied and pasted these. According to the graph, which of the following statements is not true? Oh, we're looking for a lie. So before I even look at these options, all right, this is her speed, not her like distance or anything like that. So the way you read this is, she starts out doing nothing and then she gradually increases her speed over the first 5 minutes. Then from 5 to 10, which means for 5 minutes, she stays at 7 miles an hour. Doesn't increase, doesn't decrease. But from minute 10 to 20, she decreases her speed 2 miles an hour. For 5 minutes, increases it gradually 3 miles an hour. And then for the last 5 minutes, she decreases all the way back down to nothing. And then she's done. So let's find the lie. Teresa ran at a constant speed for 5 minutes. Well, that's true right here. She ran for a constant 7 miles an hour for 5 minutes. Since this is true, we don't want it. Teresa's speed was increasing for a longer period of time than it was decreasing. So let's do the math. So we'll do increasing in blue. So 5 minutes of increasing, another 5 minutes of increasing. So increasing for 10. Decreasing, we'll do in red. 10 minutes right here, and then another 5. So decreasing is 15. What was the question? Teresa's speed was increasing for a longer period of time than it was decreasing. That's not true, which means that's the one we want. Now let's look at the other options just to make sure that these are true. Teresa's speed decreased at a constant rate during the last 5 minutes. That is correct. When it says that it decreased at a constant rate, it was a straight line. This is different from is constant. Decreasing at a constant rate means a straight line. So that's true, which means we don't want it. And Teresa's speed reached its maximum during the last 10 minutes, which is true. So in the last 10 minutes, this was her maximum speed. She hit that within the last 10 minutes, which is between here and here. That's true, which means we don't want it. So we did right by choosing B. Exercise is not fun for me, but this problem was. The manager of an online news service received the report above on the number of subscriptions sold by the service. The manager estimated that the percent increase from 2012 to 2013 would be double the percent of increase from 2013 to 2014. So, okay. Estimated that the percent of increase from 2012 to 2013 would be double. So this would be half. All right. This is going to be half of whatever increase that is. How many subscriptions did the manager expect he would sell? All right. So let's find the percent of increase. The way you find the percent of increase is you take from point A to point B, your old to new, you take your old, or your new guy rather, subtract out the old guy and divide it by the old guy. That's how you find the percent of increase. Okay, so the new is 500 or 5,880 minus the old, which is 5,600, over the old, which is 5,600. So that gives me 280, right, over 5,600. This is the calculator section, so I'm allowed to use my calculator to find out that 260 divided by 5,200 is, of course, everybody knows that it's going to be 0.05 after all that. What does that mean? That's a 5% increase because this is 5/100ths percent means out of 100, so 5%. So going from here to here is 5%. Manager predicted that 12 to 13 would be double the increase from 13 to 14. So what I need is this needs to go up by half of that, so 2.5%. So let's take 5,880, multiply that to 102.5%, because that's the increase that's going to happen. 880 times 1.025 is going to, of course, it's going to be 6,027. That was a tricky one. That was a really tricky one. I had to read that one out myself, but hey, I did it. I'm proud of me. Proud of me. A circle in the xy plane has an equation x plus 3 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 25. Which of the following does not lie in the interior of the circle? All right, so let's understand what we're dealing with here. This is a circle. Generally speaking, right, you have the equation x minus, I'll use h. I don't know what letters people usually use, but I'll use, forgot to square it. Y minus k, let's square that, equals r squared. H and k are where your center of the circle will be. So if I were to draw this out to the best of my ability, this y plus 3 means that negative h is going to be positive 3. So positive h is going to be negative 3. So my center is going to be at negative 3. Y minus 1 lines up with y minus k, so negative k is negative 1, which means regular k is regular 1. Let's go up 1. My circle's center point is right there. 25 means that r squared is 25. So if I square root that, I have a radius of 5. So let's get a different color. My radius going to the right is going to go all the way out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to go all the way out to 2. Since I'm at 1, my radius going up is going to be up 1, 2, or actually 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So up to 6. Going to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So left 1, 2, 3, what is that? Negative 8 it goes up to. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goes down to negative 4. So my circle is going to go like this and has to fall within this little range here. Okay, I didn't do the best job drawing out the circle. I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen. There you go. All right, so which of the points does not lie in the interior of the circle? 3, 2 doesn't. 3, 2, because 3, 2 is up here, and the circle's only going to go out to regular 2, so 3, 2 is not an option. 0, 0 worked. Negative 3, 1 is the center, and negative 7, 3 should work. But, you know, I definitely know that 3, 2 is not going to work. So I'm going to circle 3, 2, and that's going to be my guy, and I'm going to call it a day, baby. The world's population has grown at an average rate of 1.9% per year since 1945. There were approximately 4 billion people in the world in 1975. Which of the following functions represents the world's population? B, in billions of people. T, years since 1975. All right, so a general rule is when you're dealing with percent growth over time, what you're going to do is use the equation. I'll use y's. Y equals an initial amount, okay, times 100% plus the rate of increase to the whatever how many years power, okay, t. So my initial amount is 4 billion, okay, 4 billion. 100% is just 1. My rate is 1.9%, which if you move that decimal over 1 2 times is going to be 0.019 to the t power. Clean that up a little bit, and you have yourselves 4 times 1.1019 to the t. They don't want y. They're using p for population of t for time in years after 1975. There's your equation right there. It's an exponential guy. The answer is A. In the xy plane above, a point not shown with coordinates st lies on the graph of the linear function f. If s and t are positive integers, which means up here and up here alone, what is the ratio of t to s? Well, this is going through 0, 0, which means, what is it, st? T is twice s. So my ratio of 1t to 2 s's is going to be 1 to 2. That's going to be my ratio. Kind of an interesting problem. Not sure I liked it, but there it is. In 1854, during the California gold rush, each ounce of gold was worth $20, and the largest known mass of gold found in California was worth $62,400 in that year. What was the weight in pounds of this mass of gold? All right, so each ounce is 20, which means a pound is going to be 20 times 16. 20 times 16 is, of course, 320. Why did I struggle with that? Okay, so what that means is this is $320 per pound. Okay? The largest was worth $62,400. They want the weight in pounds. So 62,400 divided by 320. I'm allowed to use a calculator for this, so I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go right to a calculator off screen and do that right now. And of course, I made a little typo, so I have to go back and fix that. I hope everyone's having a good day. 62,400 divided by 320 is 195 pounds. That's a lot of gold. That's a lot of gold. Line T is shown in the xy plane below. What is the slope of line T? I'm just going to use the old-fashioned slope formula. Let me use these 2 points because they're a little bit more pleasant. I'll rewrite them a little bit larger so that you can see. This is the calculator section, so I'm allowed to use my calculator. Actually, you know what? I like the fact that this is over 5, so I'm going to use this point and this point because that's also over 5. That might be a little bit more beneficial for me. 6 negative 27 over 5. Okay, now the slope formula is m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. I'm going to label one of my points x sub 1, y sub 1. I'm going to label my other point x sub 2, y sub 2. Let me just plug away. Negative 27 fifths minus y sub 1, which is 3 over 5, over negative 6, that's x sub 2, minus regular 9. Okay? 27 over 5 minus 3 over 5 is negative 30 over 5. I'll simplify that in a bit. Negative 6 minus 9 is going to be negative 15. Negative 30 over 5 is negative 6. Negative 6 over negative 15. You could divide the top and the bottom by 5 and also get rid of the negatives. Did I say 5? You can divide the top and the bottom by 3. That gives you 2 over 5. That's my guy. And I guess when you grid this in, if that's even a thing anymore, you would, label that appropriately. But this looks like 2 over 5. I mean, I can see kind of like a point right there. And if I go up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. So I don't know. You probably could have gotten away with this without doing everything that I just did, but I did it anyway. What are you going to do about it? Please like and subscribe. Point C is the center of the circle above. What fraction of the area of the circle is the area of the shaded region? Well, this gives me an angle of 100 degrees. I know this whole thing is going to be 360 degrees. So 100 degrees out of 360 degrees, let me see, I can divide the top and the bottom by 20. That gives me 5. If I divide u by 20, that gives me 18. I can't go any further than that. So it's asking for the fraction. My fraction is 5/18. The score on a trivia game is obtained by subtracting the number of incorrect answers from twice the number of correct answers. So 2 times correct minus regular incorrect is going to be your score. If a player answered 40 questions and obtained a score of 50, how many questions did the player answer correctly? All right, so the score was 50. And what else do we know? So I could do this. Let's do this. This looks like a whatchamacallit, a system of equations problem. So you scored 50, 2 times correct minus I. We know that the incorrect plus the correct is 40 because that's how many questions were answered. So let's do substitution on this guy. We have ourselves a system of equations. I guess I'll subtract C from this guy to solve for I on the bottom. I equals 40 minus C. Okay, this is called the blob method. We'll take that guy and we'll replace I on the top. So let me rewrite out the top. 50 equals 2C minus parentheses 40 minus C. And this is going to give me what C is. So that's what I want. How many questions did the player answer correctly? That's actually what I want. So that's good news. 50 equals 2C. Let's distribute the negative. Minus 40. Negative C is positive C. So let's combine the 2C and the C to make 3C. Let's add 40 to both sides to give me 90 on the left. Divide both sides by 3. And the correct answer is 30. So just to make sure I did this right, okay, if I were to get 30 correct, that means I would have gotten 10 of them incorrect. So 60 points minus my 10 incorrect is going to be 60 minus 10, scoring 50 points. My answer is 30. 30 out of 40 is a C. Do better, player answering 40 questions. If the ordered pair xy satisfies the system of equations above, what is a possible value of x? Ugh. So we have a system of equations, and we just need to find the x. So let's do this. I have that guy and that guy are both y. So substitution says, why don't I just take that and, plug it in there. So 4 minus x is going to equal x squared minus 4x plus 4. Okay, they want one possible value of x. I know there's going to be two of them, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to use the zero product property. We're going to subtract 4 from both sides. Ooh, that's nice. We're going to add x from both sides. So that completely crosses out and gives you 0. We now have x squared minus 3x and nothing else. The zero product property says, why don't I factor this out? I can factor out an x value. So this becomes 0 equals factor out an x. Once I do that, I'm left with x minus 3. Zero product property says that if I have 0 equals something times something, make each of those things 0. So I have x equals 0 and x minus 3 equals 0, which means if I add 3 to both sides, here's one of my answers. And if I add 3 to both sides plus 3, x is going to equal 3. So there's two answers here, and you can write out 0 as one of them, and you can write out 3 as the other. Do I care what y is? Nope, not at all. So we're done. 0 or 3. Holy cow. Number of contestants by score and day. The same 20 contestants on each of 3 days answered 5 questions in order to win a prize. Each contestant received 1 point for each correct answer. The number of contestants receiving a given score on each day is shown in the table above. All right, so... All right, what was the mean score of the contestants on day 1? All right, so we've got 20 contestants going on. It is very, 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 very tempting to do 2 plus 3 plus 4, blah, 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 blah. Divide that by what? 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But that's not what's going on. 2 people scored a 5. So 2 people scored a 5, a total of 10 points. 3 people scored a 4. 3 people scored a 4, total of 12 points. 4 people scored a 3. 4 people scored a 3, total of 12 points. 6 people scored a 2, total of, 12 points. 2 people scored a 1. 2 times 1, let me get is 2. And then I ran out of room, but that's okay because, 3 people got nothing, so plus 0. So let's add these up. We have 36 here, 36, 38, 48. So 48 points were scored amongst 20 people. Okay. What was the mean score of the contestants on day 1? Let me divide the top and the bottom by 2 so I can make the number more manageable. That's 24 out of 10, which gives me 2.4. I'm assuming that since this is, SATs, that's probably the way they would want it written out. I guess the other way that you could maybe write this out is 12 out of 5. That would be the simplified fraction of this. But that's the mean, 2.4. In the figure above, tan b equals 3 over 4. Now, you may have heard of SOHCAHTOA. So I'm going to write that out, SOHCAHTOA. This is tan. We're going to care about TOA. TOA means the tangent of your angle, and in this case is going to be B, that guy is going to equal the opposite side over the adjacent side. Now, this is going to be annoying because we have two options here. Okay, so we have this entire triangle, but this little tiny small triangle too. So let's see what it gives us. We do know that it equals 3 over 4. Now, those are ratios, not absolute measurements, so we have to be a little bit more careful. What does it give us? It gives us that BC is 15, so I will mark this whole thing 15. DA, that little guy is 4. So this doesn't really help us. We need to find DE. All right, so this is what we know. And I'm going to use the color blue to represent large triangle here. What we know is, looking at B, the opposite side has a ratio, so we'll do 3R, has a ratio of 3 over here on the opposite side, 4 over here on the adjacent side, and all of a sudden we have 15. Now we have one of two options. See, what I need to do is I need to find out what R is so that I can find what, these guys are going to be. Well, there's a little rule that says if you have a right triangle, if you know that this is 3 and this is 4, this is going to be 5. Similarly, if I were to all of a sudden attach an R to it, or an R to it, or an R to it, that works. So if you're 3R and you're 4R, then 15 is the same as 5R. And if I divide you by 5 and divide you by 5, then this magic ratio number is going to be 3. So if this is 3R, I now know that 3R is 3 times 3, which is 9. If this is 4R, then I know that this is going to be 4 times 3, which is 12. Okay, now this whole thing is 12. My end game is to find out what you are. Okay, what I know is I know that you are 4, you are 12, which would make you 8. Now again, we can go back to our 3R, 4R, 5R triangle. Okay, I just decreased my R. I turned this from 12 to 8. Okay, which means this is 2/3 of that. 8, my little triangle, is 2/3 of 12. This is going to keep, this little triangle is similar to this big triangle. They're going to keep all of the same ratios. So if 8 is 2/3 of 12, then DE is going to be 2/3 of 9. 2/3 of 9 is 6. So the measure of DE is 6. Very trigonometric problem. I like that stuff though.